In the studio here, I have a public health physician, Dr. Ajoke Adewale. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to dive right in. Across the world, where they're considering the reopening of schools or where the schools have actually reopened, Canada, South Africa, South Korea, the UK, and so on, reverse infections are top on many people's lists. And I think that has to do with children who barely would show anything, infecting people who are actually vulnerable. In this case, is that really a fear in our own situation, considering that now that guidelines are being released about what we should be expecting to happen with schools when they reopen? Is that a real fear for you as a physician?
It is. And the thing about being a public health physician is you have to learn to plan ahead. The fact that we've not had that experience of reopening during this outbreak, and we are seeing it happening, we should not adopt the stance that we did that got us into a lot of problems. So the fact that, fine, we've had milder cases, lower morbidities, lower mortalities, does not mean we should take that for granted. We know that so far so good. Children have come up with just mild illnesses. Majority of them are asymptomatic. And then the older the teacher, the higher the tendency to get the disease. So it's something that we should plan ahead. If it doesn't happen in the scale that we thought, fine. But we should definitely consider it as having happened in this former settings and mitigate against it.
The federal government, speaking through the Minister of State for Education, emphasizes the issue of the social distancing, the issue of hygiene.
Yes.
Now, I don't know about the social distancing, but the issue of hygiene had been a problem even before COVID-19 came along for many of the schools.
Very true.
Now, with COVID-19, it's become an even bigger issue. How do you propose, because I'm sure a lot of those who heard him speak earlier today would now be thinking, especially the school administrators now be thinking, what do we need to do? What would you recommend? Definitely
everything we've been saying from the time COVID-19 started. But now we need down to the schools because, like you said, the schools are a peculiar situation.
That's
you
right.
have younger people with very free...
they don't want to social distance.
At all. So what needs to be done is the fact that we have to go back to the drawing board. Now, starting from the point of entry and point of exit at schools, you have to have hand washing materials, touchless, non-contact hand washing apparatus, and sanitizing. These children have to come with their parents. I mean, the younger ones, the primary and the nursery ones. They have to come with their parents, and you don't let the child go in unless you have, made sure that the child is feeling well. So you ask, like, questions we ask in our triad centers or in regular clinics.
That means Mr. Kitoko is right when he says, if the child is not 100% okay,
don't
bring him to school.
Go home. And if you detect that at the point at which a child is entering, whether young or older, the child should be allowed in school. That is number one principle. So when you get in, going in, now this is a combination of parents' efforts, teachers' efforts, government efforts. You have to make sure that the classrooms are well ventilated. And now you have to have lesser teacher-to-student ratio. So how that is applicable in public schools. But I'm glad that I heard the Commissioner of Health, the Honorable Commissioner of Health, speaking, was it 2 days ago, about employing more teachers. Because now you have to have lesser ratio, teacher-to-student ratios. Right. You have to educate these children too. So starting from the nursery schools, they sing songs where they spend 20 seconds washing hands. They turn contact, social distancing into a regular, fun thing. Also, you have special rooms for sick people. I mean, if a child has gotten in and you now discover the child is sick, in a non-stigmatizing way, you have to make this a culture among. And definitely the desks have to be, it's a lot. So starting from the point of entry to the environmental management, waste management, disinfection of surfaces and toys. Now, there shouldn't be any shared toys. You have to avoid aggregations, no more assemblies, no more sports meetings for now, no field trips.
This is a lot for a 6 to 10, 12-year-old to absorb all at once.
Unfortunately, that's where we are. And we have to take maximum precautions. So now, children may have personal toys. They may have virtual games in which they don't have to have fun while distancing from themselves. So you have to make it fun. And, the way children are, once you harm them with more information, education, you make it in a fun way, they start saying, Mommy said, teacher said if I have a cough, I should not go to school. Mommy, I'm not going to school. And so it's little things like that.
You work closely with coordinating child welfare and immunoprophylaxis. I hope I got that
Yes, you
right.
did.
Clinics. What do those do in this circumstance?
Now, what happens in terms of child welfare? Well,
That's
that
right.
is actually a responsibility for all. In my own clinic, I have children coming for regular weight management, growth monitoring, immunizations. I want to make sure their nutrition is okay. If they have common illnesses, I treat. If it's serious, I refer to the pediatrician properly. So I do primary care. Now, in this case, we deal also with a lot of school health. So in this case, we owe a responsibility to do a lot of school health education. Now, personal hygiene, washing, and we used to go around doing that. But now we need to intensify it so much. So it's a whole mix of school health education, helping these schools to design protocols, working closely. Now, COVID has shown us more than ever that sectors need to work with one another. Right. So the Ministry of Health works with the Ministry of Education to make sure that there are protocols for everything they are doing in the school. You may even need to stagger closing times so children may not be allowed to rush at the same time. They may not be allowed to rush out too. So there's actually a lot, but it is doable. I mean, if we want to, we have to encourage our parents that education is still very, very important. And if we've identified educational institutions where there are outbreaks, we notify them. So that way, you know that it is still important to educate your child, and adequate care will be taken of your child when your child is in school. But if your child is ill, you have to deprioritize that education and stay at home.
Now, the issue of medical personnel, Mr. Akitokun was talking there about virtually every school in the U.S. having a nurse. And immediately my mind came back to Nigeria, and I'm not too sure that is the situation where virtually every school has a nurse. So again, investment in medical personnel, on-site medical personnel who can carry out some of these tasks you talk about.
Very true.
On time and in good enough time for it before it happens to spread.
Yes, and one thing I would like to emphasize, yes, there's a shortage, and right now it should be prioritized. But one thing, and you know what I've discovered with a lot of schools in Lagos State is they have a sick bay, and I'm guessing it's for inspection purposes, so that it is there and ready. But beyond that, they have to know, no testing of COVID-19 patient must go on in any school. That's one. Number two, once a child is sick or a staff, going home is the first thing. I mean, fine, you make the child comfortable. You should have a space designated for that. But going home should be on your priority list. So staff, students, and once a child or a staff is confirmed positive COVID-19, you may have to temporarily dismiss the whole school
and check
for maybe a few days so that you can do a lot of contact tracing, know how many, plan, and then because you may never know that one child is positive, the child may have, been in contact with a lot of teachers and staff. So it's definitely needs to be on check. Things like you have some asthmatic children and they want to nebulize. Now, it's disposable nebules they use. You don't, because it's an aerosolized process,
That's right.
It's generate aerosols, and, there's increased risk of COVID-19 in that
Right.
case. So we need to talk to our schools. We need to put trained personnel there so that in case there's an informed person who at least knows about infection prevention control, IPC, to say, okay, this is what we will do. In the meantime, keep this patient here, but this is what I will do to maybe treat the fever or, isolation. It's a whole mix now of COVID-19 strategies with the normal healthy dynamics we used to work with.
One thing I'll be taking away from this discussion is the fact that this is not something that is going to happen in a hurry.
At all. In fact, I personally, maybe because of my background as a public health physician, I don't think that we should be in a hurry. Our health comes first, and I'm happy. In fact, there's this Read Aloud program that His Excellency inaugurated, and I was happy about it. We should still prioritize this children's education, but at the end of the day, our health comes first. Until we are able to reduce the level of local community transmission, I don't think I look forward to aggregating children back in school.
Thank you so very much. A lot of food for thought and a lot of things for school administrators to ponder during this period before the issue of a reopening of schools comes up. Dr. Ajoke Adewale, it's a pleasure having you with us. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.